Starting to get a little sketchy. It's a very steep, little sideways slope, where the trail is basically just slightly less steep than the slope.
Deadhorse Pass is a north-facing slope that is considered to be the most sketchy pass on the entire trail. If still covered in much snow, it is considered to be almost impassable. In this episode, I finally complete the Uinta Highline Trail. My trail name is Minor. This is my story. Yesterday, I think, was my toughest day. Deadhorse Pass, particularly King Peak, and basically having 3 passes yesterday. Today starts off pretty easy. It's a gentle decline, or descent down through Lambert Meadow. It really gets tough when I go over Red Knob Pass. Really, since I went over Porcupine Pass yesterday, been a series of just long, really long meadows. As further down I go, start getting some trees, which I just went through over there, but it's short-lived. You get more typical, couple of tree grove here, tree grove there kind of thing. That is pretty. Kind of looks like Monument Valley, only green. This is a gorgeous pass. The view from the top is the best I have seen. I mean, there's been some great views from the top of some of these passes, but I like the top of this one best. And that little bowl there is the lake, Edmund Lake. So the pass was cut on this side of the lake, and you go over the pass. So I'm assuming that really rocky scree slope up into there is where Deadhorse Pass is. It is pretty. That lake is gorgeous. This trail is steep. Be good training for parts of the AT. It's starting to get a little sketchy. They don't recommend horses on this pass, so I have a suspicion it's going to get even worse. Hit a few stretches like this where it's a very steep, little sideways slope, where the trail is basically just slightly less steep than the slope, and the trail is eroded in some of these slides,
to about a footprint wide. Anybody with an issue of heights is gonna have a hard time on this pass. It makes me nervous in places. This isn't the sketchiest part. Well, you're on top of Deadhorse Pass. It was sketchy coming up. There's no way you're gonna get a horse up that pass. It's too steep in places. It's too narrow in places. Another pretty valley. Most of these passes seem to go into these U-shaped valleys, and you end up in a meadow in the upper end. Not thrilled to drop off on the right side of me, so I'm leaning in. Well, I'm down. Didn't take that long. Trail had a few steep parts where it's dirt and small rocks, which I went down really slow and carefully because I didn't want to slide. It wasn't a very wide trail. But let's click down. This side, definitely easier to go up and down. The other side though, I would much prefer to go up than down it. It's like this kind of landscape. Green grass and large stones. I feel like I'm almost walking through the ruin of an ancient city. Where just the rubble of the stone buildings is left. I didn't mention it, but I got down to the bottom of the pass at 6:38. So just a little less than 20 minutes down. Wasn't very high, I guess, from this side. Got burnt trees mixed in with all the live trees. Don't know if this is part of the fire from last year or a separate incident. Well, I just passed Ledge Lake about a third of a mile ago. Got about 1.3 miles to a junction where I have 3 possible routes through the Rocky Basin. The official trail and 2 alternates. So I've got some thinking to do tonight. I might just go all the way down to the junction. The area is a mixture of live and burnt trees, and can't camp near the burnt trees because most of them look like they could come down at any time. So I'm pretty much going to have to just, I don't know, probably about half a mile. I'm just going to start looking for a good campsite. If I get all the way down to the junction, so be it. Only camping spots that I've seen are either covered in ash, which means everything is going to get filthy, or there are trees that look like they could come down at any time. There might be some off the trail, but I can't just go wandering around the woods, especially when half the trees are burnt and falling down. One of the things I forgot to mention about last night was basically I got to about half a mile to the junction to Upper Rocky Basin, and I basically was just looking for any campsite that was decent because I was concerned I had burned trees everywhere. So I finally found a marginal place, marginal in the sense of for comfort. It was kind of, let me put it this way, I didn't sleep too well there. It was clear though, no trees that were going to come down on me. If I kept going, I could have slept in a meadow. It looked somewhat dry, which is unusual. I got started at 10:06 a few minutes ago, and mosquitoes were starting to get ferocious. Usually they're not quite so active that early. Seems like the further west I go, slowly the mosquitoes are becoming a worse problem. I'm continuing through the fire from last year, and I'm less and less wanting to hike the official route. There's the Upper Rock Basin route, which one guy online said was his preferred route even before the fire. Stays at the tree line, so it's probably got less damage. A couple that I met going over North Pole Pass who have done the Highline Trail not long ago, and who do a lot of backpacking in this area. Met them while they were on a backpacking trip. They recommended taking the Jack and Jill route, which cuts the Upper Rock Basin Trail in half, I guess. Don't know the exact mileage difference. That was their recommendation, and as they pointed out, has the advantage you don't lose much elevation, which you do if you take the official route. So even though it's longer, it may be easier overall and faster. So the question is, how impacted was the Jack and Jill Trail to the trees, impacted by the fire, compared to just staying on the Upper Rock Basin Trail? Seems that I made a choice without knowing it. I'm already on the Upper Rock Basin Trail and never even noticed the junction. It likely was under a burnt, fallen trees or something. Great view. It's like the sun's about to come over the mountain. Though you don't lose that much altitude, you are losing some. I'm concerned I'm gonna have even more dead trees going that route, so I decided to stay on the upper Rocky Basin Trail. I changed my mind. I got down about a minute or two. I'm taking that couple I met at North Pole Pass. He told me to go this way as on a divine appointment. I've been praying about what would be the best way to go. Maybe that was my answer. Jack and Jill Trail has been hard to follow, mainly due to a stream that keeps paralleling or cutting in and overflowing this trail. Definitely it's not as well cairned either, so definitely needs a GPS app or some sort to follow. Pretty though. I should have turned along. I often don't see how this trail connects. I follow what seems to be obvious trail and then it peters out. And then I realize there's another obvious trail further over. So, crap. I'm about half a mile from rejoining the upper Rocky Basin Trail, which will then be another, I don't know, 1.6 miles, no, not even that, 1.3 miles maybe down to the Highline Trail again. Yeah, I'll rejoin the Highline Trail. Would have thought I would have been out of this by now. But nope. Makes it worse is it's about 80 degrees now and there's no shade. I get one final pass with snow. First pass I was on had snow, and this one's got snow. So I've come 1 3/4 miles. Got pretty good water here, so I'm gonna take my lunch break here. Just met 5 gentlemen that were hiking in. First one had actively raved about the kilt that I was wearing. And I sat and actually talked with them for several minutes. They explained what that horse leg and porcupine was, I think he said 2 years ago. A horse fell off the pass, tumbled to the bottom. Pretty much just left it to decompose or be picked by animals. Thought all the fire was on the other side of the mountain. Apparently some of it was over here too. Or it's a different fire. I literally have 2.5 miles to go, and I am struggling. Muscles are over fatigued, overused. Now they tell me, now that I'm out of it, it is finished. About time. Yes.
I completed the trail in 7 days and 1 hour. Back at my SUV, I quickly loaded my vehicle and got cleaned up, and then I started the long drive back home. The trail scenery was awesome and very beautiful. The tread through it was often rocky, and I felt beat up at the end. There were a few navigational challenges due to faint to non-existent trail in a handful of places, though nothing several pairs of eyes or a GPS track couldn't solve. I'm glad I hiked this trail, and I will likely do so again.